It is one of the most painful moments for a pastor. A church member comes up to that pastor, and many times a longer term, or maybe someone in the church that is really making a contribution in the ministry of the church, and they come up to you and say, Pastor, we're going to be leaving the church. Not leaving the town, but we're going to leave the church. I can assure you, for most pastors, that feels like a dagger, either in the heart or in some cases in the back. We're going to answer this question. How do you react when someone tells you they are leaving the church? We'll answer that question in a few moments. Before we go there, let me talk about Belay. You hear me talk about them every time on the podcast. Why? Because I'm grateful to them. They are our sponsors, which means we can offer this ministry to you at no cost. They are an incredible organization. They put people in your organization that are the right fit, the right chemistry. They take care of the matching of the right person with the right organization. They take care of the back end work. They take care of the compensation. They just put you a person, and that person is ready to go. So I commend Belay to you. They'll make your organization so much more productive, and they'll probably make you more productive as well. I've been mentioning the download that they have available, a brand new ebook called The Power of Productivity. Again, you may have already downloaded it from previous podcasts. If you haven't, this is your time to aside your guilt for not doing what I ask you to do. Please download The Power of Productivity. It's very simple. Get your phone out, text Thom at the number 55123. That's it. Text Thom at the number 55123. And by the way, that's Thom, Thom. If you don't know me, I have a weird spelling of my name. It begins with a theta instead of a ta. That's a conversation into itself. We're not going to go there. How do you react when someone tells you they are leaving the church? I got to believe that for most pastors, it is a gasp. It is a sharp pain. The temptation to have a visceral, quick reaction. Your body language is likely going to show the hurt that you have experienced. You know, are there some pastors that don't have any problem with this? Yeah, I've actually met some pastors who over the years have gotten to the point where they understand that these things happen, and they move on. They move on. I talked to a pastor recently. This pastor was in his late 30s, kind of a younger pastor to be at this point, but he said, you know, I've come to the point now that when someone tells me they're going to leave the church, I just think overall it's the best thing for the church. Because if they stayed, they were obviously unhappy anyway. They maybe were making other people unhappy. And I used to worry about some of our most faithful givers leaving. But you know what? God has always supplied. And so I'm no longer going to worry about the things that I don't need to worry about. God will take care of that. Quite frankly, I don't see many of those pastors that really feel that way. More of them feel like whatever metaphor you want to do, the knife in the back, the knife in the heart, the kick in the gut is painful. Okay? It's just painful. So let me work with you, Pastor, and prepare you for that next time, because there will always be a next time, when someone comes to you and says, we are leaving the church. Once again, they're not leaving town. They're not leaving the community. They're leaving the church. First thing I want to tell you, understand that your initial reaction and possible words that would come out of your mouth would be the wrong words. Don't regret what you say, because once you've said it, you can't take it back. As a matter of fact, when they say that, there's nothing wrong with looking hurt or you shouldn't try to hide the hurt. There's nothing wrong with trying to keep a cool body language when your body language feels like you've been kicked. But just remember, the pain that you are feeling at that very moment that they've told you that is usually the highest point of the pain. And so it's going to subside. Don't say something that you will regret. I've done that too many times. And I look back and I said, boy, I didn't have the maturity just to keep my mouth shut. Now, I do think you should say something, though, not just stare at them. And I'm going to suggest you should ask them why they're leaving. I know it's a painful thing to ask why. You know what the most common answer is? Because we aren't getting fed. And what that means is they're saying they're not getting anything out of your preaching. Now, quite frankly, anybody that says they're not getting anything out of biblical preaching, I'm not talking about heretical preaching, biblical preaching, I think it's on them. They're served the food, but they just do not eat it. But you're going to hear that sometime. We're just not getting fed. We're not a fed here. Sometimes you'll hear, I've got kids that are young and they don't have enough ministries at the church. And that may be true. But you need to ask them why, even if they're going to offer you an outlandish reason, like we're not being fed, just simply because they want to express that to you. They would not have come up to you and said, we're leaving the church, unless they really wanted you to ask the question, why are you leaving the church? So the first thing I do is say, don't express your initial feelings and hurt. Second, ask why, but be prepared for some outlandish responses, particularly, we are not being fed. Thirdly, let them know that you're hurt. Some pastors don't recommend that. I do. I just express it. Pastor can say, well, I want to just let you know I'm hurt that you're leaving. It's really a pain. I'm really sorry because I'm personally hurt by it, and I think the church will be hurt. I'm not going to try to talk you out of it, but I just simply want you to know that I'm hurt. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, it may help in the future if there's ever a chance for future conversations with this person, that you let them know that this was no small deal, that you lost them as a member. So let them know that it hurts you, and right along with that, let them know you'll miss them. Because, don't lie. If you're not going to miss them, don't tell them that. And if you're not hurt, don't tell them that, obviously. But most of the time you are hurt, and most of the time you're going to really miss them and their service and their contributions to the church. And just let them know that you're going to miss them. And then the fourth thing, pray for them. Have a prayer to send them. Have a prayer to ask God to be with them in this new church that they're going to go to, whatever that may be. Because many who will come to you and say they're leaving the church, you know what they're going to do? They're going to drop out of churches altogether. And they're just using something about your church or your ministry, your preaching, as an excuse to leave your church, and they will end up not going to church altogether. But pray for them. Pray for them to find a church home where God will use them and they will be fulfilled. These are not 4 easy responses. But I think if you prepare, because every pastor inevitably is going to have to deal with this, I think if you prepare in this way, that God will honor it. Once again, here are the 4 responses. Number 1, don't say something you'll regret. Do everything you can to keep your emotions in check. Number 2, ask them why they're leaving. And even if it's a asinine, ludicrous reason, ask the question. Just let them say it, because they're telling you they're leaving for a reason, and they probably want you to know why. And again, kind of a subset there, be prepared for we're not getting fed. And the second one is youth activities, children's activities. So ask them why they're leaving. Third, let them know that you will miss them, and let them know that this is painful for you. Don't try to hide your pain. Let them know. And then fourth, pray with them. Pray with a sending prayer. Pray with a prayer that God will use them in their next church, in their next place of ministry. If you do that, will it solve the problem of people coming up to you and saying they're leaving the church? No. But it will be handled in a Christ-like way. And I think that'll make a lot of difference with you, and I think that'll make a lot of difference with them. As always, thank you for being a part of this podcast. As always, Belay is our sponsor. Don't forget them. Belay is an incredible organization. Get their download, The Power of Productivity. Go to THOM at 55123. And as always, we got more podcasts. We release 3 a week. And so we got some more that you can watch or listen to. I look forward to seeing you in all of them. Have a great day. Hey, folks, this is a PS to our podcast. We got some exciting stuff that we want to offer you absolutely for free. Sam, when you think about predictive factors in a church's growth, if you take out demographics, what are some things that come to mind? Just two. I mean, don't give me a list of 10. Just two or three things that come to mind on predictive growth of a church.
Well, evangelism and whether the church is doing it or not.
Bingo.
And then I will add, is it an ongoing evangelism emphasis?
Double bingo. Well? Double, and maybe something about leadership and their commitment to that. So all of the above.
Evangelistic churches have evangelistic pastors. Is the staff, is the lead pastor doing the work themselves?
We have a free download for you, and it's actually a sheet that you can self-score. You answer 20 questions, anywhere from strongly disagree to strongly agree. And we come back and we predict what your growth rate is going to be for the next year in worship attendance. It's not a perfect tool, but it's a good tool. There's a link to that for the attendance predictor. Look in the show notes. You'll absolutely love it. That's cool. We'll see you soon.